Hello students, welcome to the video lectures of software engineering. So far we have covered software engineering principles in our previous video lecture and the principles that guide the process. So we have discussed the 8 core principles which guides the process. And today we will talk about the communication principles. So communication principles outlines us about the to listen actively to stakeholders, speak clearly with team members, use models and diagrams to explain better, and keep documentation ready. So we will see what are these communication principles, how they are helpful. So before we try to, analyze the customer requirements, so they must be gathered, right? So this gathering the requirements can be done only through effective communication. And effective communication is the most challenging one, which we have, will, we should confront it. So whenever we have an effective communication activity that takes place, so we'll be in a stage to, define our overall goals and objectives of the project very clearly and accurately as well. Okay. So now, what are these principles? So first one says, listen carefully, right? So listen carefully is to focus on understanding the speaker. Okay. So we should try to focus on the speaker's words rather than, formulating your response to those words. So whenever you feel that something is unclear, obviously you can ask a clarification for that, but try to avoid, constantly interrupting the speaker. So which doesn't look good. And being a good listener always will make you understand things properly. That is what the first principle of communication says that. And we talk about the second principle, that is to prepare before you communicate. So this means that you need to spend some time to understand the problem before you have a meeting with your client. And also you may also can do some kind of a research to understand their business domain. So for example, if you before you meet a client, so if you just try to analyze the studies of about the client's industry and the product domain, which would be very helpful, and you can also understand the speaker's intention properly. Clear. And if suppose you are the one who is responsible to conduct a meeting, probably preparing a good agenda will be a key. And this has to be done in advance to the meeting. Okay, that is what you should prepare before communication. So, principle says. So third one is facilitator is key. So there is someone who should facilitate the entire activity. So for every communication that happens, there shall be a leader, and that leader is termed to be your facilitator. So as we have seen in our first unit, we talked about the agile models and the Scrum Master, especially what is Scrum, who is Scrum Master, and what is the role of a Scrum Master. So basically, in many of these kind of meetings, you'll have the Scrum Master as a leader to ensure the entire this thing goes in a productive way, right? Then the next point is face to face is the best, right? So face to face is best for communication activity, right? So because the visual and verbal cues aid your understanding very well. When you have such kind of meetings with a client, in-person meeting especially, let's say we have in-person whiteboard sessions, which will help clarify complex database scheme, suppose if you want to represent that, right? And then we move on to the next principle, take notes and document. So this is quite important to record all the key points and decisions that are taken during the entire meeting, because these will define our goals and objectives very clearly, because all the requirements can be gathered here through the active discussion which is going on in the meeting. And also to happen or to do this particular task in the meeting, there shall be someone who should be acting as a recorder, who will try to write down all the important points and decisions. Clear. And then you have next point as encourage collaboration. So encourage collaboration in the sense, you'll have a couple of stakeholders. There are many stakeholders who are present, and you have to ensure that you engage all these stakeholders in the discussions that are happening, such that you'll have a common goal, and you can also build the trust among the team. Clear. And then next point is a modular discussion. So modular discussion in the sense, we need to modularize the discussions. That means to, keep the conversations very much focused on a specific topic. Like just try to focus on this topic first, then we shall finish this and move on to the next topic, rather than moving to multiple topics and not getting solution for any one of that. So, for example, let's say, let us try to finalize the UI requirements before we try to go on to the backend logic, can be your best example, I can say. Which means, hope you have got this point. Let us try to focus on the UI part first, then we shall move on to the backend logic next. Unless without finishing UI and going into the backend logic, without finishing backend logic, moving on to another discussion, so it really doesn't make sense. So that is modularizing the discussion. As you know that there will be more people who will be involved in any kind of this kind of communication activity. So generally the topic will bounce from one topic to the other topic, and especially here, so your Scrum Master or the facilitator whom we were talking about previously should ensure that the conversation will be modular, and try to resolve one topic at a time. Then moving on to the next topic would you really make it productive. Okay. So then the next point is visual communication. So this means try to use the diagrams, or some workflows to convey your complex ideas, whatever you have, which will make everyone to understand, right? So if anything that you feel is unclear, so just draw a picture and communicate it, because the verbal communication goes only so far, but a sketch or drawing can often provide clarity when your words fail to do that particular job. Then know when to move on is your next point. So don't try to dwell excessively on unresolved issues. Okay. Suppose let us say you're talking about a project, and in that there is a feature, and that feature is unclear actually. So better when you really understand that that is not going to get a solution as of now very quickly. So just don't dwell excessively on it. So rather you can just move on and just make a note of that point and try to revisit it after some time, and try to discuss this after a couple of other points are resolved. So rather than iterating the endlessly, okay, so because there are a couple of more people who will be participating in this, and everyone else should recognize that there are many other topics which requires the discussion and this particular productive time. So sometimes this moving on is the best way to achieve your communication activity or communication agility, we can say. So then the next point is negotiation. So negotiation in the sense, see, there are many instances, okay, where the stakeholders must negotiate functions and features, priorities and delivery dates. If team has collaborated well, so all parties have a common goal. So, but still, negotiation will demand compromise from all the parties. Final goal would be like to aim for some kind of mutual satisfaction between both the parties. So, for example, the client is asking you to make a feature or some particular change very quickly. So, but what the developer says, based upon all sort of analysis that which they make, basic version I can give you right now, and whatever the improvements that you are asking in your particular project, I can do it later. So this can be a kind of conversation or negotiation that goes on between them. And in some cases, the client may ask you for giving the project or giving certain features within a 4 week of time, but you cannot guarantee it in a 4 week. You say it in 6 weeks or 7 weeks we need. So I mean, these kind of negotiations will go on in any kind of communication activity, right? So these are all about your communication principles. Thank you.